Hello, everybody. How are you? Hey, now, come on in, come on in. Welcome to Lean In with Commissioner Henri E. Brooks. Glad y'all are here. Listen, today is a wonderful day for me. It's a beautiful day outside. I have a wonderful guest, one that I really love. And let me just tell you, on top of all of that, I just had another birthday. Thank God. How about that? Listen, I have my friend, mentor, supporter, a person I admire so much, and so many other people. I know most of you all out there know, and I don't need to give a long introduction, but I will say I do have the Honorable Dr. Willie W. Harrington, former mayor, former superintendent. Uh, just Dr. Harrington, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know you don't do a lot of these,
No, I don't do
and
it
I
at all.
feel privileged. I do. I feel privileged that
Okay.
you're here on my podcast, and
Yes.
I just appreciate that so much. You know what? This is the second special thing that you've done. The first special thing you did for me, you remember?
I don't know.
Well, you remember back in 1992?
Oh, yes. I wanted to make sure you remember.
In 1992, that was the year I ran for state representative.
Yes.
State representative against a. He'd been there what 20
Oh, he was strong.
years.
He was a strong incumbent.
Right,
Yes.
right. But he was not taking care of the district. Okay,
Absolutely.
all right.
Yeah.
And I did not just jump out there and run. Actually, Reverend J.D. Jameson, who was the
I
pastor of Mount
remember him.
Gilligan
Oh,
Baptist Church,
yeah.
he picked me and he told me, baby, you gonna run. And, back in those days, when we came up, when the pastor tell you you're gonna do something, you do it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know anything about politics. But I soon learned and I got help.
But Commissioner Brooks, I'm glad you brought that up because the incumbent, God rest his soul,
Mm-hmm.
was not a good public servant
Right,
for the people that represented him.
right.
And he got confused. He had not only some political issues, he had some ethnocentrism issues as
Mm-hmm.
well about
Yes.
who he was and who he was representing.
Mm-hmm.
So when this dynamic young lady, smart,
Wow.
courageous, and had the passion to beat him, well, we got behind you
You did.
because we wanted him beat. Now, if you will remember, you had your headquarters at Airways
And Lamar.
and Lamar.
Where Grasanis used to be.
You're right. That's
Yeah,
right. Where
right.
Grisantes. And you had your signs out. I think it may have been the opening of your campaign.
It was a big deal.
I remember it was a big deal. We had everybody there and we had the signs. And I normally don't get on my knees, but I think I got down on my knees with a hammer and we took your sign and nailed it in the ground and we said, down with King. We had to beat him.
And we have the photograph for that.
We had the photograph of it, yeah.
And listen, that was a big deal. I was so proud to have so many people, but particularly you, Dr. Harrington,
Oh, yeah.
supporting me. It just gave me the confidence, moral confidence, the confidence I needed, to push on.
Yeah. But Commissioner Brooks, since then, what you did in the state legislature, I think I said this at you got a Lifetime Achievement Award about a month ago.
Yes, I did. Thank you so much.
The videography guy asked me some questions, and I said, what I admired about and still admire about Commissioner Brooks, you stand on your principles and what you believe in, and you are independent.
Right.
So I always admire that, and you're courageous. You will stand alone.
I have.
So I think, that's kind of my style. I think true leaders, if they're passionate about something, an issue is helping people, and they're doing the right thing, and come hell or high water, they stand on it.
There you go.
And you kind of built like that.
I am, and I believe in that. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
I know you're a superintendent first, but I'm going to go to the mayor's office. And we have, everybody has some image or conception about the mayor. But what are some of the misconceptions people have about the mayor of a city like this?
Well, first of all, the mayor is the chief executive officer I believe they still have about 14 or 15 divisions. So the mayor is the chief executive officer. And in my organizational style, I had a CAO, chief administrative officer.
Right.
And so I delegated a lot of the line responsibilities, had those division directors reporting to the CAO reported to me. So the mayor in Memphis is a very powerful position.
Tell them why.
I'm going to tell you why. Memphis has one of the strongest chief executive mayoral positions in urban America. The city mayor is the sole contracting authority.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
the city council approves the budget,
Uh-huh.
but the city council cannot spend any money. It has no contractual authority.
There you
But
go.
the mayor does. The city council approves or disapproves all of the mayor's appointees. But the city mayor is very, very powerful. Contrary to the county mayor, and I'll leave that alone.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
but that's what the city mayor does. It's a highly responsible position, a lot of authority, and it reports to the citizens of Memphis, but it must have a collegial relationship with the city council to get things done.
Let me ask you about that. So, and I know how that is because everyone has a
Yeah,
different personality.
right, yeah.
And I know you have your nominees that you needed to bring down to the city council. How did you navigate that networking and relationships and collaboration with city council?
That's a good. Well, Henry, you know some of the episodes I had. It was so you that's why you're
Oh
asking me.
no, I don't say I don't
But what
remember.
happened though? But Henry, if you will remember, and we're just gonna be straight up.
Yeah.
When I got elected, and God bless his soul, Pastor Kenneth Whalum Sr. was on the council.
Yes, he
Doctor,
was.
yeah, he was alive. Dr. James Ford was. I'm taking you back. Both of them deceased.
Okay.
They were on the city council. So if you will remember, I had a diverse cabinet. So I remember, God bless Pastor Williams' soul, he got upset with me. And you know how Kenneth did. Kenneth had the audacity. He said, well, hell, he said, you are our first black mayor. We didn't elect you to hire no white folks. He said, you even hired more white folks than you did black folks. And so Kenneth actually said that. So he got upset with me. He said, you think we spent all this time electing you to hire white folks? So I said, Pastor Whalum, I have a government to run. I'm going to hire people that can help me carry out my managerial responsibility. For example, what did it look like for me to come in and fire all these guys? I don't know anything about public works. I don't know anything about engineering. I said, at the end of the day, I've got to manage the government, okay?
Right.
I said, I'll get their loyalty and time, but I got to have a competent team. So Kenneth, and then the other time I had differences with the city council was over some appointees. Now, I won't call the names of some of these people. They were getting into my business.
Tell us who the council
Well,
person
I'm not going to tell you who that is. Some of them you know right now. So if you will remember, I told them, I'm put the council, what's that biblical thing? I'll put them under my footstool. He'll make your enemies your footstool.
There you go.
So I started talking, they were my enemies, my footstool. So the press got that and all of that. And all it was, I said, look, these executives work at the will and the pleasure of the mayor. So I can't have you guys using politics and your favorites, friends of your family, and you're going to tell me who to appoint. We can't work like that. So I had my differences. So, we just set the record straight. The council, you set the policies, you do the resolution. But when it comes to the day-to-day operations of the government, that's what I do as a mayor. So then I remember we had some issues. Barbara Swearingen Hope was on the council. Tawan was on, and Janet Hook. So we had a lot of strong personalities, and Wanda Howard got on. So at some point in time, we kind of, had to have some.
But did you network with them and sort
That
of?
was the other thing I didn't do. Here's the other thing. I was a little different. I never played games. Everybody knew exactly where I was coming from. I never did quid pro quos. I never tried to politicize things with council members.
Right.
But I never did that. I never did politicize my policies or anything with council people. I just made my presentation. So I kept it straight down the line.
And so they can hear it and judge it on its
Absolutely
merits.
right. But I wasn't going to go call somebody and say, look, I need your vote here. I never did that.
You never did that?
No, I never
so
did.
let me ask you this then. Okay. And we hear it all the time, and the county is a little bit different from the city. And the mayor does need to have, good relationships with the county commissioners because he only has $100,000.
That's absolutely right.
He can deal with. Okay. Then he has to come with us. So, what advice would you give the mayor today? City mayor and county mayor? Based on your knowledge, all your experience, and all your networking, all you know.
You know what, Henry? This is something I've been real guarded about.
I know it.
And I'll be very truthful to you. Let me give you an example, then I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
When I got elected as mayor, I reached out to 2 mayors of big cities that I respected. I reached out to Marion Barry, who was the mayor of Washington, D.C.
Right.
I reached out to Maynard Jackson in Atlanta, okay? So obviously I knew both of them well. And I said, Marion, man, I've been a school superintendent, but I've never been a mayor. Tell me what this mayor's thing is all about. So Mayor Barry gave me some words of wisdom, and I took those words of wisdom. I flew to Atlanta. I met with Maynard. Maynard gave me all the time in the world and told me what being the mayor was all about.
Right.
Now, I'm going to say something.
That's a strong thing. I think that's a strong move.
Let me tell you what I did. No. I reached out to guys that had the knowledge, okay? And conversely, what happens here in Memphis, and since I'm truthful and straight up.
I know.
None of the successes, not that they had to, came to me to seek any advice. And I'm the kind of guy, I don't offer you advice if you don't ask for it. If you notice, I stayed out of all of their arenas. I never got involved in the politics of any of my successes, okay? So they never asked. You never asked.
Okay. I could take that further, but I won't. And I could have I could have some strong statements about that, but I won't.
I know. and I'm handling this delicately too.
I know that you are. It's a lot I want to say. It is kind of hard for me to not say, what I want to say.
But do you understand, Henry? I don't, for
hear
example.
You loud and clear.
But I would not give them advice that I did not take. I reached out to mayors.
Yeah.
And I remember, let me tell you what Marion Barry said to me. Marion said, Willie, let me tell you a couple of things. Make sure that when you appoint your chief of police, that's your guy.
Okay.
Yeah. He said, because the mayor and the chief of police must have a collaborative relationship based on trust. Well, I didn't understand all of that, why he was telling me that at that particular time.
But later on.
The other thing he said, get the kids jobs. He get kids summer jobs. Well, I thought he was going to tell me a lot of other kind of things. And so the summer jobs program that I instituted, and we hired thousands of young people, it came from the wisdom of Marion Barry. And he was right. That was one of the best initiatives. I see so many young people, and they stop me. They say, Dr. Harrington, you gave me my first job. And if I remember, I think they could be as young as 14. So we gave them jobs. And obviously now, a lot of them, they 40 and 50 years old, you know what I mean? But that was, so Maynard Jackson said to me, Maynard was all the entrepreneurial guy. He says, Willie, He said, look at your pension portfolio. Do you have any black managers?
Right,
And all of that. He said, look, follow the money, follow the contracts, see who gets them. So I started getting those analyses, and I looked at the pension portfolio. I think at that time, it wasn't 2 billion, but it was $1 billion plus. And they had about 17 managers. Not a single one of them were African Americans.
Well, yeah.
So, but I didn't know until Maynard said, look at that.
Look at that.
So when I looked at that, and Maynard said, I said, we don't have them in Memphis. He said, we got them in Atlanta. So what I did, I opened up opportunities for seasoned, well-qualified asset management companies to come into Memphis. And so that's what we did.
Okay.
The other thing we did, Alan Wade was the only African American that was in a red book. He was the only attorney. The red book is where you're licensed to do bond transactions.
Oh, okay.
So the rest of them were all white. There was only one black, and was Alan. So Charles Carpenter was a lawyer who happened to be my friend. If you will remember, they put me in the newspapers. Charles needed some transaction. You needed to have 3 to get eligible to get into the red book. So Charles was very competent.
Yeah.
So we opened up doors of opportunities for him. All of a sudden, the commercial appeal and investigative reporters said, Dr. Harrington, we have noticed for all these bond transactions, why is it that Attorney Carpenter is getting? I said, well, let me explain something to you. I said, when I met Attorney Carpenter, he was a competent attorney, okay? He was licensed, okay? It is true that he was my campaign manager, and he's also my friend. I said, I can't think of a better person to do business with than somebody that's competent, and he's my friend.
Right. And he's working for the county now.
He does, but okay.
Doing bond and all that for the Health Facilities and Education Board. So he's still in there.
But we opened the doors for him.
And his son is doing the same thing.
I've watched him. He graduated from University of Memphis Law School.
Let me ask you this. We're talking about, all of the inner workings of the mayor's office and, some of the things that you did. But I want to ask you about your proudest thing, the thing that made you sit back right now when you're sitting at home and stick your chest out and say, I did good. That was my best moment.
Well, not being braggadocious, but there were a lot of them.
Oh, now, come on.
You said just one.
You used to it.
You said just one. There's a lot of them. I'm glad I said more than one.
Oh, well, help yourself.
Let me tell you, because I'm writing my memoir.
Oh, okay. When is it coming out?
Hopefully, if I can get my colleague who's with me to work a little bit harder to help me to get it out. We should get it out in the spring of this year.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, you know my colleague, my very capable colleague, Michael Gray. You know him?
Yeah.
He's helping me. Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. But anyway, he made me lose focus on my question because he said...
Well, we're talking about your proudest moment.
If you will remember the toy towns.
Tiny towns, yeah.
Oh, the tiny towns. The tiny towns.
I do.
If you will remember, they wanted to defect. They wanted to be removed from entities, a part of Shelby County, form their own towns.
Right.
If you remember that.
I remember that. I was in the legislature.
And you were in the legislature when they passed that bill in the 11th hour. That would have destroyed Memphis. Memphis would not have been able to annex, would not have been able to grow.
Right.
And I fought them all the way up to the state Supreme Court, and we prevailed. That, to me, was a pivotal and a historic achievement that I'm very proud of. Because had they succeeded, Commissioner,
we can't imagine.
The Memphis that you are enjoying today, you would not have existed, okay? So that was a big battle. And if you had remembered, no one would help me that was in government.
Right.
The county government, all the suburbanites, all of them were against me. All the suburbanites, everybody was against me. But we didn't give up. Allen Wade and what's the other law firm? I forgot. What's his name? But anyway, we fought him.
Wilkins? It wasn't Ricky.
No. This
Okay.
was oh man, I'm forgetting the name of the law firm because he passed. He was always called him my top gun.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the law? It's a big law firm. I'm forgetting the name of it right now. That's a senior moment.
Yeah, well, I have those all the time. But, I remember that really well.
And let me tell you the rest of them.
Oh, okay.
Because I got to answer your question.
Okay.
It's the Toy Towns.
Toy Towns.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of that.
Okay.
I'm very proud of the fact that we diversified the management of our government, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see in my book the before and the after.
Okay.
If you will remember, the previous administration had, at one time, all the directors, with the exception of one black male, they were all white.
Mm-hmm.
There were no blacks and no women.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came in, I diversified.
Mm-hmm.
I had whites,
Mm-hmm.
blacks, and female.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud that I brought diversity into the management of city government. They were all competent people, just needed an opportunity that was not based on race but qualification.
Right.
So we changed that the culture.
Mm-hmm.
The police department.
Mm-hmm.
I was very proud. We changed the culture of the police department. If you will remember, in my first month, I said the good old boy network is over.
Mm-hmm.
So they put that all in the newspaper. So the police structure at the top was dominated by white command staff, okay?
Absolutely.
So they had a culture
Mm-hmm.
that was disrespectful
Absolutely.
to people of color. We had a lot of police brutality.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to be the mayor, I said, that day is over.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, well, what is Harrington talking about, the good old boy network? I said, yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I dismantled that, and we brought in some respect for all people, and then we created opportunities for diversity in the command staff. So I'm proud of that. The other thing I'm proud of is in the sports arena. Downtown.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get to the Grizzlies. I'm going to get to the Redbuds. That's why when you said one, I got a whole lot of stuff I'm going to roll off.
I didn't know you want to go back and talk about all of them.
Oh, no.
Hey,
those
that's
are
great.
If you will remember,
some people need to hear this.
Downtown Memphis was dead.
Mm-hmm. It was. Absolutely.
Bill Street was dead, okay? The public housing was in ruins, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was over at the one on Crump and what's the name of that one? Lamar Terrace.
Lamar Terrace.
I went to Lamar
district.
Terrace, and Commissioner, I cried.
I
had never seen Swallow. I've never seen people live in conditions like that. Yeah. And I remember I gave a prayer. I said, if God enlarges my territory so that I can do good, and look at public housing, we transformed them. Hurt Village, Lemoyne Garden, the Foot Home. We tore down all of those ruins and we built decent places for people to live. So I'm proud of that transformation. We put AutoZone. If you remember, AutoZone company was in where the library is now. We recruited AutoZone to move its headquarters from off of Poplar downtown. So we started a renaissance of downtown. Then we recruited International Paper. We brought that company here. So I can go on with, and then we'll get to the sports. The Tyson Lennox Lewis fight.
Okay.
That was the highest grossing. That was the highest grossing fight for pay-per-view and Showtime in its history. We brought 400 international correspondents here. We had that big fight. Everybody that was somebody came to me, including Donald Trump. They came to that fight.
Really?
Oh, no. Denzel, everybody. That was the biggest fight.
Yeah.
So we brought the biggest sporting event in the
That's
history of
something. I didn't know
Memphis.
that.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
So you want? I can keep
I
on.
wouldn't know. I wouldn't know because I don't like boxing. I'm going to tell you, I don't like boxing. It's violent. It's just too violent. I
Okay.
don't like it.
Well, you like the Redbirds, right?
Well,
Well, we
yeah,
built the Redbirds, it's
I
a new
do. I
stadium, the
love baseball.
ballpark.
I do, but I don't care for boxing.
I
It's
got you.
just too violent.
Okay.
But let me just, you've done a lot. And one of the things that bothers me and I'm concerned about
Okay.
young people today not understanding or realizing
Hmm.
how they got to where they are. That how the door got open,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
and then having an attitude that does not show the kind of respect. And
Hmm.
maybe my standards are too high.
No,
I've
no,
been
no.
told that. But what do we need to do,
Well,
or what advice do
yeah.
we
Well, see,
need to
Henry,
give them?
in all respect to you, in the street language, they call us old school.
Hmm.
Okay, what OGs or something? We
I
sit
don't
up.
mind.
And I'm just saying that's good. That's what they call us. Okay. You and I came up in an era. I'm older than you. I came up during the Jim Crow South.
I did too.
Okay. We had to ride the back of the bus,
Hmm.
drink water from separate water fountains marked white and colored.
Hmm.
Okay. We saw police brutality.
Hmm.
We couldn't go to the theaters in the front doors. We had to go through the side doors.
Right.
So we
Right.
came up
And could only
uh,
go to the zoo on
and go to
Thursday.
the zoo on one day.
Hmm.
So we came up when there was some harsh realities
Absolutely.
based on
Absolutely.
race. Okay,
Yeah.
schools were segregated.
Yes.
I couldn't attend Memphis State when I graduated in Booker, Washington,
Hmm.
because it was segregated.
Well,
Thank
I
God there
got
was
yeah.
Lemoyne
Yeah.
that opened the door. So we're built differently. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so the young people of today, uh, some of them have a sense of entitlement.
Hmm. They do.
Okay, they have a sense of entitlement. Whereas in our generation, we were breaking barriers. If the door
Hmm.
wasn't opening, we step up, we kicked the door. That's what we had. That's what I
Right.
had to do
Right.
all
Right.
from
And you
to
did. You
be a
did.
school superintendent.
Right.
You know how they rejected me. We had to have
Absolutely.
protests, and they called me a black militant because I marched with the
Black
teachers and the
Mondays.
Black Mondays, marching with Dr. King. To make a long story short, we came up in the civil rights era. We came up when
Hmm.
climbing the ladder was hard. Okay, and so you look at the generation now, they're totally different. And the other thing I would say, Henry, our core values, for
Yeah.
example, uh, we're going to be straightforward,
Yes.
and
Truthful.
and we're not afraid of white
Hmm.
folks.
That's the truth.
So some of them
Absolutely.
get timid, and you just want to, but at the same time, we work with people who work with us,
Hmm.
and we
That's
have
it. That's it.
respect, and we don't sell our souls.
Right. Right. And I
Uh,
demand respect. I've earned
I
respect. You
understand
don't
that.
have to like me,
I
but
got
you
it
are
right.
going to respect me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So let me just say this,
Yeah.
and you've been in all of these roles. I remember Black Mondays. I
Of
remember
course.
all of that. I mean, I
Do you
remember all of.
remember out of 70? I don't know. We had about 75 black principals.
Hmm.
I was the
On
only
yeah.
one
Hmm.
that would march in the protests
Right.
out of 75 black principals.
Hmm.
And then I got labeled a black militant. If you
Hmm.
remember, they ostracized me, took pictures
Yeah.
of me, did all this kind of crazy stuff. But I weathered all of those storms, and so we came through it. You've weathered
I
storms.
have. I
That's what
have.
that's what made you the leader
Stronger.
that you are today. So Henry, we can't, you know what I mean? They're not gonna live up to our standards.
But we have to help them though, because it looks like we're going backwards,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be here uh, in this space
Hmm.
and see what's happening to us and not take some kind of action to fix it. But
Well,
I'm not sure
yeah.
how to fix it because the disrespect level is so high.
Well, you know what I do to use crude language? I stay
Mhm.
out the way. I stay
Well,
out the
I don't know
way
how to
now.
do
If
that.
I stay out the way, because just take for right now.
Hmm.
You got all the re-elections are coming up,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
you got the
All
mayor, you got
county.
county
Yeah.
commission, you
Hmm.
got all of these clerk jobs and all of that. So obviously, I know a lot of the candidates. I know their families. So I'm basically remaining neutral, even though I think a couple of weeks ago I did go out for Willie Brooks. So I go way back with Willie. But I got all these people coming to me, want me to endorse them, and I'm trying to stay neutral. But I will say this without being personal. Today, when we select leaders for important leadership roles, the criteria is not of the caliber that you and I respect. That's why you're doing voter education.
Yes.
Okay, you're doing voter education and all of that. In our day and time, we got elected. Well, I'll be honest, when I became superintendent of schools, I was qualified.
Yeah, right.
I had a PhD. I was 31 years old. I had been trained in the District of Columbia and in Baltimore City. So when I came back here, I was 4 years deputy superintendent. I was prepared. So when I became the mayor, the mayor was nothing for me because the school system, I had 13,000 employees, had a budget, multi-million-dollar budget. So to be mayor to me wasn't heavy lifting. The school system was a tougher job for me than being the mayor, but I was prepared. So now what they do, and I'm not calling any names, okay? So my standards are real high.
Mine too.
Why? Because I had to meet standards. Now people aren't meeting standards. You know what else? You know what they do now here? When I got my PhD, which was in 1971, you had to be a scholar. Okay? You had to be a scholar. Now they go online.
Yes.
They got all kinds of institutions I've never heard of. They give people titles. You got so many doctors, and they call themselves doctors, and I don't respect them. Now, that's because, why I don't respect them? Because that's not how I got mine. Mine 50 years ago. And when I was at Southern Illinois University, and my doctorate, in 90% of my classes, I was the only black student in the PhD program, which meant I had to be on top of my game. I had to be scholarly. And so my standards are high.
And anybody could get in, especially with a black face. But,
you couldn't get in.
So, and I know your time is short and all of that, but I've got to ask you one more question.
Okay.
And now that you've transitioned out of the superintendency, away from mayor and all of that, whatever goes with that, how does it feel? How do you adjust to navigate private life after all of that public life?
Well, first of all, I'm at peace.
I understand peace.
I'm at peace. But I have some deep concerns about the future of my city. This is my hometown and the county, and I care about it.
Yeah, me too.
I want to, before we leave, Henry, I thought you were going to ask me this: what do I want to do next? And you and I in agreement. You and I had agreement, and I said, I'm going to come to you later, Commissioner. We want to help Memphis and Shelby County address the affordable housing crisis. That is why we've gotten into real estate development. That is the next contribution that I would like to be a part of, is helping to address the affordable housing crisis, and we have some ideas on that. You're going to hear from us. We've got some ideas. It's going to require public-private partnerships, but I want to help as many people as I can to get into affordable housing. That's the crisis.
You said that. I'm glad you said that because we've made some strides since the last time you were, in the county around affordable housing. We've got some emerging developers. We got an emerging developer academy because we got a deficit of 30,000
Yeah, that's right.
units. So we got to fix that. So
Right.
we are working toward that, and I'm glad you reminded me.
Yeah.
And certainly, I'm going to be calling you up about that.
No,
Okay.
we're going to come to you with some innovative strategies. We're
Okay.
coming to you with some bold initiatives
And that's what we
that
need.
make sense, because what they're doing now, Commissioner Brooks, and I'll be quiet, they're tiptoeing around the crisis. We want to come with some initiatives that can get us moving with some vigor, some force, because that crisis just needs to be addressed.
It does. And you saw the MHA report, right?
Yes.
This discrimination is just horrible.
I've seen it, yes.
So we've got to do better.
Yes.
And so you might have to come out of that private life and get a little bit more public, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Listen, thank y'all so much for tuning in. This has been my special guest, my friend, my mentor, Dr. Willie Harrington. And listen, come back again with Lean In with Commissioner Henri E. Brooks, and you can get this podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Okay? See y'all. Thanks.